Is it? All right. It says I'm live. So you guys hear me all right? I don't know if there's anyone here. Let's see. This is very new. I haven't done this before on a computer. So now let people filter in here. Cam's up there. Mike. We're good. See, no one in here yet, I don't think. Am I live? Yeah, I'm live. Sweet. So I'm going to attempt to share screens, that type of thing. This is all my first time doing this, so no one in here yet. So I'll just wait for some people to get in here while I figure out how to do this stuff. See, Max Pratt had a question about basically toxicity. His neighbors have been saying they're not sure. They think fertilizer is toxic, that type of thing. So let's see, can I try to find the right screen here? Cool. No, not that one. Not that one. Oh boy, this is going to be. So the hard thing I'm having a hard time with is trying to. Okay, here we go. All right, so Max asked about LD50s. Sweet. All right, so I just did this on ChatGPT, but you can go item by item and get the LD50 of various lawn chemicals. So why isn't this working? Maybe I have to do it over here. Hopefully you guys can see this. I think you can. How do I see both at the same time? Sorry guys, I'm going to connect on my phone so I can actually see what's going on. Because I can see it, but then I can't do anything here. So what's going on here? So bear with me, guys, while I figure this out. I've got an idea what I'm doing, but yeah, only so much. All right, so I'm gonna be watching this on my phone so I can see what it looks like on your end. Perfect. Okay, sweet. That should help a lot. All right. Thanks for being here, guys. So, yep, you're seeing what I'm seeing. And can you see what I'm seeing now? No. Man, this is frustrating that the screen sharing is not a little easier. That's pretty important. Maybe I will try to figure this out and come back to questions like that. I will need to be able to share screens. Sorry, guys, this is worse than expected. Hang on down here. This is a screen I want to share, but I can't see myself, so maybe I'll just have to go with that. Okay, you guys can see me. Okay, I scroll down, and it scrolls down. All right, we're good. All right, so Max Pratt asked about LD50s and fertilizer toxicity. And if you do the LD50, that's the dose that's lethal for 50% of the people. Like, so half the people would die if everyone ate that dose, is kind of the theory. Usually it's tested on like rats or rabbits, usually rats. But here's urea, LD50 of 8,471 grams. So about 8 grams, sorry, that's milligrams, 8 grams per kilogram. So if you're like an 80-pound man, you'd have to do over a pound, so 640 grams, a little more than that. You'd have to eat of urea. And I also had ChatGPT just bring it up for food items. So you'll notice table salt is about triple that toxicity. Baking soda is about double that toxicity of urea. Vinegar is about 2 to 3 times more toxic than urea. And vitamin C, very similar toxicity to vitamin C. Urea is actually, you can use it as a protein substitute in certain livestock, up to 1% of their diet. So that's how non-toxic it is. But yeah, vitamin C, like ascorbic acid. So we're talking about 8,000 milligrams per kilogram on urea, and ethanol, so alcohol, is more toxic. Monosodium MSG is less toxic. That's kind of interesting. All right. aspirin, obviously more toxic when you get into that type of stuff. But table sugar is one of the only things that's less toxic than urea. And also, here's another one that's less toxic: vitamin C and MSG. So there's a lot of things we actually eat, including table salt and sugar, is maybe 3, 4 times more toxic. But yeah, that's how low toxicity. Let's see. So here is fertilizer is up here somewhere. That's just one example. Let me go back to, here we go. All right. So ammonium sulfate, roughly 4 times the toxicity of urea. And I also don't like ammonium sulfate as much as urea because urea has half the salt index. It doesn't mess up pH nearly as much. And ammonium sulfate, yeah, that higher salt index, it costs roughly twice as much most of the time. You don't really need sulfur in most cases, or a lot of cases. If you do need sulfur, it's probably better to get it from gypsum because gypsum's cheap and it doesn't mess up pH. It's neutral. So yeah, just if you do need sulfur, about 1 pound of gypsum per 1,000 square feet will take care of a sulfur deficiency. Potassium sulfate is another component of fertilizer. The LD50, 2,000 milligrams per kilogram. So this is dermal. If you eat it, it's even less toxic. So it's real similar toxicity. So that's half the toxicity of table salt. That's about 5 times more toxic than sugar. But you'd have to eat a lot of this stuff and you wouldn't eat it. And dermal contact is more realistic. And even that it looks like you could almost coat your body in this stuff. So 1/3 of a pound of that is what would have to be in contact with your skin and absorb into your skin, which is quite a bit. So if you do want the safest fertilizer out there, it's going to be urea. You're just not going to beat that toxicity, and the salt index is real low, so it's hard to mess up your lawn with urea, and it's also cheap. You want to source it locally. I bet there's a lot of questions because I spent a little too much time on this one possibly, but to also look at herbicides. So like 2,4-D, it says that moderate oral toxicity. So if you're eating the stuff, don't eat it. And dermal toxicity is pretty low. And you'll see that. Here's the trend. I just had Chat GPT. Actually, this is Gemini do the 40 chemicals in the lawn. You'll see on dermal is low LD50 on pretty much all of them. You'll also see this is a trend that there's no mutagenic potential with hardly anything. It says generally negative. Glyphosate has mixed, but it's like technically it's a class 2A, which is so is eating red meat, so is staying up late, so is being a barber. So there's a lot of things that are 2A, but like sunlight is more sunlight is known to cause cancer. So it's a class 2 category. It's not just oxidative and whatever it is, mutagenic potential. It actually causes cancer, sunlight. So anybody that owns a T-shirt that's complaining about that, yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna that obviously that's a kind of almost getting political if you get into glyphosate sometimes. All right, I'm gonna jump back to the comments. There are none. I can't see anything here. Hold on. Live chat. Let's see. Why are there no comments? You guys need to give me some comments, I think. Either that or I'm not able to see them, which would be bad. But yeah, if you guys have any questions, I'm going to do an ask me anything here. I did want to go over watering math, so maybe I will do that. So this website right here, digital.weather.gov, will bring you up the National Weather Service, and this is a pretty good resource. And I like to toggle this down to weekly. So total weekly forecasted rate of evapotranspiration. So this is also known as reference evapotranspiration. I like weekly. I think it's probably more accurate than daily. So you just click on that and you can kind of this is easier on a phone actually, because you can zoom in more easily. But I'm kind of in this area here. So you just zoom in on your area. You can zoom in as much as you want. I'm not gonna actually do my area, but I'll do close enough. So I would zoom in on, let's say I'm here somewhere. And if I actually click on the map, you wait a couple seconds. I don't normally do this on a computer. I'd normally do it on a phone. Oh, yeah, it says I'm weekly. All right, see this 1.11 inches right there? This is before crop coefficient, and grass is more efficient than most agricultural crops. So this is designed for agriculture. So that 1.11 inches, you need to multiply that by, uh, oh crap, I'm not sharing my screen. I'll get better at this. Can't get any worse. All right. That's terrible. So bad. All right. There we go. That's what I meant to be showing you guys this whole time. All right. So website right here. I'm going to just plug this into the chat. Okay. So here's a website you guys can use, digitalweather.gov. It will bring up what's on the screen here. I have this zoomed in. Let's zoom out so you can see. Oh, this is not as user-friendly as it could be. Okay. Make sure it's working. Yep. All right. This is what I wanted to show you guys. I wish you could click on it and see yourself at the same time so you could actually see, but that's all right. Okay. So it would be the whole United States. You zoom into your area. Let's pretend I'm in Iowa somewhere. Let's see, over here somewhere. Whatever, this will work. Let's just zoom in here at Waterford, and this say you can zoom into your actual street here, and you click on the map, and it'll give you a number. Right here, this is your forecasted rate of evapotranspiration for the week. So 1.09 inches of water loss expected that week. But this number here is designed for short row agriculture. So you have to multiply that by the crop coefficient to get you your weekly water loss. And you also have to deduct rainfall because this is just the loss portion of the equation. So create a bookmarkable URL, and that will make this page. So anytime you open this link, it will open to your exact address, and it will be current evapotranspiration, reference evapotranspiration. And so hopefully I'll get better at this, but I'm gonna try to change what tab I'm sharing with you guys. Let's see, did that work? Nope. Yeah, so this is my first time doing this on the computer. I have more options, but it's a little more complicated, obviously. All right, so stop sharing that screen, and I'm going to start sharing this screen. Okay, so the fonts are all messed up and stuff, but this will give you, this is my best guess at crop coefficient for, yeah, this is really bad. I need to work on this, but turf type tall fescue, Kentucky bluegrass, perennial rye, and fine fescue. So I've got a crop coefficient. Sorry guys, I just did a lot of seed last night and I'm allergic to seed. Try having pallets and pallets of seed with a blender that dusts up in the air. You can try to avoid it, but it's so much pollen, it's crazy. All right, so here is my best guess at crop coefficients at different cutting heights. So with my lawn, it looks really good if I water it at a crop coefficient of 0.75. So I just take that number on that digitalweather.gov, digital.weather.gov, and that gives me the reference evapotranspiration. I multiply that by this right here because that's my cutting height for perennial ryegrass, and I would do that much water in a week. And the best turf quality happens if you're watering every other day. I wouldn't normally do that. I would normally water more like every 3 days. But that's the crop coefficient I'm going to use. My back lawn, if I'm just watering it survival, it's going to be a lot less than this, more like 0.25 or like nothing, because it'll survive. But if you want it to look good, these numbers here, I think, are what's probably going to look best, or at least this is a good starting point for your crop coefficient. So this on SeedBoss is just the seeding and care tips right here, and I need to fix this font. Like, see this turf type tall fescue is written tiny, and things like that. I need to fix that, obviously. This right here comes with, if you buy any seed at SeedBoss, I'm including this little handout here. So this is seed rate for perennial rye at different cutting heights, different densities. And then I have like things to do right. And you can access it for free right here with so seeding and care tips. And then recommended equipment. This is like all the equipment I like. There's no affiliate links here. I have like a no affiliate links policy. And it gives you like why I like the Cyclone over the Typhoon. It's just more control per click right here, this 12 PSI per click. The Typhoon is 23. The Typhoon is heavier because it's got a a more serious pump on it. It's got double the psi. But in my experience, I don't really need that psi. I don't need to pay more for it, and I don't want to have a heavier backpack sprayer. So even though this one's cheaper, I think the Cyclone is a better product for me, at least. Yeah. All right. So I'm going to stop sharing and look at comments. And okay. And if anything is going terribly wrong, like besides the obvious stuff that me not sharing a screen, things like that. Um, yeah. So Max, let me know if there's something more specific you want me to go into. But basically, you want to pull up the LD50, compare that to things that we do eat, like vinegar, table salt, sugar, things like that, and that will give you a reference point for the toxicity of things like urea. The LD50, again, the dose that's lethal if 50% of the time. So if you ate that many grams, and figure, typical, I don't know, if you want to use a kid or something, they probably weigh about something like 40 kilograms or something, depending on how old they are, 40 to 50 to 60 kilograms. Um, and you just multiply that first number, like if it's 8,000 milligrams, so you just say 8 grams, and then there's about 453 grams in a pound. So, but yeah, you can also do it by kilograms. But you need to eat a lot of this stuff, or come into contact with a lot of this stuff for it to be dangerous. All right, wondering if it makes sense to do the Menard's two-step, which is a weed and feed, or just speed zone for broadcast weeds. So I'm definitely a fan of spraying weeds. It's just it pretty much wipes everything out when you're, doing broadleaf weeds and you do it right. But if you do use a weed and feed, which I wouldn't recommend, those products are generally only people that are pretty new to lawn care are using things like weed and feed, and they're the ones that are most likely to misapply it. But if you do use it, get your grass damp or use it when there's dew on the ground, something like that, because you want those prills to stick to the grass. You want it to not stick to the grass ideally, but some of it's going to stick to the grass, but it's going to stick to broadleaf weeds more readily. So that's kind of how those work: is the prills stick to the leaves, and then usually you're watering them in about 24 hours later. So you don't want any rain in the forecast, but you do want to either rinse the ground just to get it wet and then apply the product. But I would stick with Speed Zone or Q4 or any three-way or four-way that's got things like dicamba and 2,4-D in it. Quinclorac is in Q4, and that I don't know if there's enough to do anything to crabgrass, but there probably is. But quinclorac is a good one for crabgrass, which you shouldn't have much of that yet, depending on where you are. I guess you might have some. All right, so I posted this link if anyone wants this, digital.weather.gov. And again, let me show this one more time because it's really important if you want to do accurate weathering. Right here. So this right here, create a bookmarkable URL. This will customize this link to your area, and you want to make sure you set it to either daily, or I like weekly evapotranspiration. And then if you're watering 3 times a week, so I click on this map, it's going to spit out a number. So 1.09 inches right where I clicked per week. And then I need to deduct rainfall after, or you deduct rainfall last, but I need to multiply this by my crop coefficient. So let's say I'm watering at 75% of evapotranspiration. So this is evapotranspiration right here. So if I'm watering at 75% of this 1.09 per week, that would be a 0.75 crop coefficient, which is correct for ryegrass at my height of cut, I think, for ideal turf. And then if I'm watering 3 times a week, I would just take that number divided by 3. And if any rainfall happens, usually what I personally do is I just kind of wait if I know how much rain happened, then I can do math and straight deduct it. But if I'm not paying attention, I can just wait until the ground feels like it's a little dry, and then I can turn my water back on. But too much water will do much more damage than not enough water. Not enough water is fine. Too much water, not a good idea. Some areas, more mild areas, are going to be more tolerant of it than other areas. But okay, yeah, you don't want too much water with high night temperatures is a bad combination. My podium sprouted in about a week and a half ago. It's looking great. It's not patchy, but there are some areas that are not as dense. Should I put down more seed to fill in, or wait for it to fill in? I'd kind of need to see a pictures probably, but a lot of time if you did everything right and um, you raked it and it should come in even. You can kind of wait for it and hopefully it comes in even. If it's a little patchy, normally uh, I had some low density near my fence because there's a slope in my front lawn, and just you can do it right away if you want to, but about 6 months later, then I would overseed, say about maybe 4 pounds per thousand just in that area. And I might give the rest of the lawn maybe 1 pound or something, 1.5 pounds per thousand or something as a maintenance type of a dose. All right. Let's see. Evapotranspiration from the map in sunny versus shady areas. So yeah, there's things called microclimates. So it's basically going to be full sun, but it accounts for everything. It accounts for wind, uh, cloud cover, sun, anything like like how bright, how hot it is, especially the humidity. It accounts for everything, but there are microclimates. So under shade's going to evaporate more slowly. Near structure is going to evaporate more slowly. So the crop coefficients I'm giving are just a starting point. They're like for my lawn, for example, I get a lot of wind right by the street, so I give it a little extra water right by the sidewalk. Because if I just let it dry out, the spots that see localized dry spot first those are the spots that are most likely getting higher ET rates. And then everywhere else, I'm going to water before you see kind of the drying in the other areas. But most likely anywhere near fences or structures, um, anything that's blocking wind or getting more wind for some reason. Like I've got kind of a wind tunnel that happens. I've got the ocean not too far from me, and the wind comes from there and it blows kind of up the hill through just through my neighborhood, and it hits the sidewalk a lot harder. Like if I'm spraying something and it's windy, I can really feel it when I'm out at the street there, where it's like my droplets might start going everywhere, which spray real coarse, and I'm just spraying urea, so it doesn't matter that much. But yeah, I don't know if I answered your question, but you're going to want more water where there's more wind, and you're going to want less water where there's more shade. Evapotranspiration from that. Let's see, I think I just answered that. All right. Let's see. Would Sub-Zero be the best option? Recommend for Minneapolis, Minnesota area. I think Minneapolis is probably going to be too cold. Let me screen share. Just Google, see what happens here. Hmm. I'll share that. I was just Googling, trying to find this was related to the LD50. Okay. So what am I doing here? Got distracted. Sorry, guys, I'm not firing on all cylinders today. All right, Sub-Zero, Minneapolis, Minnesota. So I'm thinking that's going to be too cold for it. Minneapolis, Minnesota. You guys see that? Cool. So this is what I do. I say Minneapolis, Minnesota climate. You see this right here, all months. This right here, this is what I care about, that average January low. So it is, so Minnesota, the NTEP test location was 4 degrees right here. So it's pretty cold, and you get very different performers when you start going that cold. Sub-Zero, I think, is ideal from 10 to 15 degrees average January lows, and you're a little below that. So I would start leaning more towards SR 4750 or bluegrass. So let me, I wish I didn't have to do this. Maybe I guess I could do that. That would work pretty well. Here, let me do my sharing and just share my whole screen with you guys. Okay. Entire screen. Why isn't that working? Also share audio. Sure. No. All right. But it's not letting me share this. Okay. It's probably all right. Whatever. I'll just share the boss. I'll figure out how to share my whole screen next time. That'll be easier. Okay. So if I click on Sub-Zero, and here is the here's kind of what's available on the market for perennial ryegrass, or the vast majority. Oh gosh. Okay. So if you look at Minnesota, here's Sub-Zero. You got top 25% performance. You don't have top 25% color. Here's SR 4750 in Minnesota. I believe that was number one for turf quality of all cultivars tested. Oh, no, not number one. So here's Paradox GLR. This is in Norse Blend. It's one in Norse Blend. So it has top is slightly better than SR 4750, but this dark green, this means top 10% color. Why is this? There we go. All right. So let me zoom in here. Okay, so SR 4750. So here's Minnesota specifically. And SR 4750 is top 10% turf quality and top 10% color. Here's one other cultivar that did it, Paragon 2 GLR. I think that's also in Norse. So Norse blend might be pretty good in Minnesota. Let's look at Norse blend. Here's all three cultivars average. So one of his Pangea must not have liked cold temperatures, because his is average performance for color and quality in cold. But I think I must have his cultivars wrong. It's been a little while. But anyway, it might probably not Paragon. He's got Electra and his third, and he's got Pangea, Electra, and what's his third one? It's Paradox. So maybe I think I was looking at Paragon, but I think Paradox. Where is that? Okay, way down here. But yeah, really good quality in Minnesota, but not good color, bad color. Okay. I think it's Paragon. All right. Anyway, way sidetracked, but SR 4750, top 10% color and quality, and at 4 degrees. Oh, 6 degrees. I thought it was 4. It might be 4, but okay. I was thinking 4, but it's 6, I think. Anyway, you're 7 degrees. You're almost identical to this test location, and it was mowed at 1.6 to 2 inches and 2 to 3 pounds of nitrogen. Sorry, guys, these screens are really throwing me off. I'm not able to see. I'm trying to think of you guys and what you can see, and you're probably watching on like little phones and stuff, and probably can't really see this. So I got to zoom in, and then it's kind of hard to. But anyway, you got the top 10% turf quality and color. But really, maybe you should be doing bluegrass. But if you do rye, SR 4750 would be a good one. And then this Paragon 2 GLR, if you can get that single cultivar, it has better color and basically the same turf quality as SR 4750. So if you can find that Paragon 2 GLR single cultivar, that would be even better, not by much, but a little bit. And those are the only two cultivars I see that have top 10% color and turf quality in that 6 degree average January low. All right. Here. So yeah, with when you get into Minnesota, you should start thinking about bluegrass. I think anything below 10 degrees, basically if Sub-Zero is not a good option, you probably shouldn't have rye. And Minnesota, if you do rye, that Paragon 2 and SR 4750, those are probably a better chance of success there. All right. I know you like the Cyclone. Do you have any opinion of the Lesco Zero pump? I don't know. What's nice about Flow Zone is you can replace every part on it, and it's good build quality to start with. So I actually did have a part that was brass, and it did fail, and I was able to just get a new part for, I think it was 15, 20 bucks. I got it in 3 or 4 days. And then when it did come in, it was stainless steel, so it wasn't going to corrode like it did the first time. So they had improved it. It's probably not a problem on the newer Cyclone. But you can get Flow Zone Cyclone at Site One for like, I want to say 240 bucks or something. So you're paying more, but you can fix everything on it, and you've got like the option of the quick disconnect. So it's got like the pressure washer tips. So you can flowzonefzspray.com. They sell a quick disconnect kit, so you can get a kit for your different sprayers. So man, I don't know if this is even watchable, like besides the live. So sorry, this quality is so bad. I'll get the hang of this with the screen sharing and stuff. All right, just arriving. What seed would you choose for the transition zone, Oklahoma City specifically? Probably tall fescue would be, and you're so far Is that even the transition zone? That seems pretty far south. Um, and I would think I'm surprised that's even the transition zone, but definitely not rye. But yeah, tall fescue, you'll have some brown patch issues possibly during the summer. So you will want to get, I want to say it's azoxystrobin. I don't believe brown patch has any resistance noted at all. So you can just pretty much stick with the same active. I think it's azoxy that's real effective on brown patch and also pretty cheap. I'm not an expert with disease, but yeah, tall fescue is probably what I would do, or even Bermuda possibly. All right. That's just my guess. That's not my area of expertise. I would probably talk to somebody that is more familiar with that area because I'm way far away from that. New cultivars coming out that you're excited about. They're already out, and I don't want to give away my upcoming product. I am planning to do a tall fescue blend specific for the transition zone, so high disease pressure areas. And then I'm the following year, so fall of 2028, I'm doing a tall fescue blend that's specific for the Northeast. So a little lower disease pressure, still some disease pressure, but they're top performers in that area. But there's a certain cultivar I want that one will not be out until 2028 after harvest. So let's see, I'm putting urea. I'm also putting iron, but grass is still not dark green. You're probably not applying enough urea. It's possible you have a thatch issue or a pH issue, or you're lacking sulfur. So those are a few things that are possible, but a lot of people they're throwing out urea based on some YouTuber that is applying a foliar rate at zero point 0.2 pounds per thousand square feet, and that's just not going to do a lot with color. So apply an actual rate. You don't it doesn't have to be urea. If you put normal fertilizer from the store, it's probably going to turn green. So chances are good you're not applying enough urea. So you want to do, if you're doing it as a granular, about 2 pounds per thousand square feet. And if you're, and that's a pretty good rate. That's gonna, yeah, give you color. It should give you color. And if it doesn't, then you probably have a sulfur deficiency. And then 1 pound of gypsum per thousand square feet should resolve that. Let's see. I'm trying follow you and in Pacific Northwest. Oh, let's see. I'm trying to follow you and I am in the Pacific Northwest with hat trick ryegrass. Yeah, it's kind of unfortunate that you got hat trick. In the Pacific Northwest, it's even worse than fireball, which is saying something. But yeah, I had hat trick in my lawn as well at one point. It was half my front lawn. But yeah, it's not the best turf quality. Could be worse, but let me go back here. So let's just, I could pull up this spreadsheet wherever. I'll try to make it so you guys can see it. But here is hat trick right here. Oops. Sorry, these images are kind of limiting in what I can do with the mouse. So you can't really see, but here's turf quality right here, 6.5. Could be worse. It is notably, oh, sorry, that's hat trick and fireball. Hat trick's a little worse, so 6.4. And then fireball is 6.6. So yeah, hat trick's a little worse in the Pacific Northwest. Good color for sure. That's probably largely from being a little on the thin side. If you overseed with something like hat trick and you basically it's going to look worse in the winter more than the summer. It's kind of interesting if you look at why the quality is so bad. It is also worse quality in the summer, but especially in the winter, cultivars like this can really not do well. Not the best self recovery. This is Poa annua, but this is in the Northeast. But yeah, it's anyway. Yeah, you can get away with bad genetics in the Pacific Northwest. They're very disease prone. Oh, I'm still over on that screen. Yeah, they're very disease prone, but here's kind of the secondaries on something like hat trick. Here's disease, 93rd out of 114, and most of these really bad performers did not make it to the market. The gray leaf spot is terrible, so if you're kind of in the Northeast or anywhere in the East, you're going to have some disease pressure, or down south in the West will also have some disease pressure. it's possible to get gray leaf spot if you're far enough south, even in the west. This is traffic, not great. This is Poa annua, pretty close to the bottom there. Snow mold, it did well for snow mold if you care about that, which is not relevant to the Pacific Northwest. Divot recovery, so wow, okay. That means it actually died almost. Oh, sorry, that's percent repair. Okay, never mind. I translated this. This is the percent repaired from based off of 80 as a ceiling, which is really close because the worst performer was about around 80. All right. Anyway, not good for divot recovery. Could be worse for that. Yeah, that sometimes those dark, kind of more weaker inbred stuff, sometimes it does better in drought and stuff when it's not fertilized. It just is some of the better performers sometimes. All right, let me get out of this. Go back to comments. Yeah, trying to follow you with the hat trick. Yeah, you probably can. But yeah, in the winter is when you'll really notice a difference in quality. Mine looked like crap compared to what mine looks like now. All right, no, urea is your favorite end source. If you had a bag of ammonium sulfate, would you use it for a season or two? If your pH was around 7, yeah, your pH will be fine. It, it it can affect. Let's see, how do I? Why isn't it let me share my whole screen? It should. I thought it was the other day. Entire screen. Come on, work. Nope. This is weird. It really should let me do that. I swear it was the other day. All right. Forget that. So I can't show you pictures and things like that, but it can drop pH pretty quickly, but probably not. If your pH is around 7, yeah, as long as you're not in sand, it's probably not going to have your pH going too crazy. pH most of the time is fine. Like in Delaware, they had consistently good turf quality all the way down to a pH of 4. And they might not have as much aluminum. Like in my lawns, there's a lot of aluminum, so I probably can't have a pH down to 4. But at 7, you got a long way to go before there's any issues there. It should be fine to use that. You might want to get some urea and do it, split, one application of urea, one application of ammonium sulfate. But really, your pH is totally fine, not even in the ballpark of anything concerning. Down to 5.5, I'd probably try to keep it north of 5.5 or even 6 if you can. So it might be worth getting a, let me share this screen here. So there's a little pH, this thing right here. Let's see, how do I share this on a computer? I'll just copy the web. I'll paste this down in the chat. I think this thing's worth owning. But at 7, you could probably ignore your pH completely and never think about it at all. It'd be totally fine. pH is overrated. Let's see. I wanted to double check the cheat code is the best for Rockford, Illinois. I think you said just Google the January lows. Yeah, January lows between 10 to 15 is when Sub-Zero should perform better, or most likely. That I don't know the exact temperature where cheat code's going to start performing better and Sub-Zero is going to start performing better at a lower temp. But I think the cutoff is probably about 15 degrees because most of the Northeast locations where cheat code does outperform it. You said Rockford, Illinois. Let me just Google that. Oh my goodness, what's going on here? Rockford, Illinois climate. Did I copy that tool? Yeah, there's a pH tool down in the description there. Yeah, Rockford, Illinois, you're gonna want to do Sub-Zero. This temperature right here is Iowa. This is like the Ames, Iowa. I don't know how to say that. Is it Ames or Ames? One syllable or two? Anybody that knows can comment it. That would be great. But yeah, January average low is 12 degrees. Oh, I'm not sharing the right screen with you, but that's all right. You don't need to see that anyway. Okay. But anyway, the Rockford, Illinois is 12 degrees average January low. Let me share. Come back over to here. I'm just doing these references. So Ames, Iowa, look at Umpqua in Ames, Iowa, 6.9. Yeah, that was the highest turf quality of any cultivar tested out of the 114, not just what's available, but everything tested. And it's the second best for quality out of everything tested, and specifically in Ames, Iowa, which has the same average January low as you. So Sub-Zero is the #1 turf quality, and then #2 for color, with Mystique is in the top 25% for turf quality. And it's probably in the ballpark of top 15 to 20%, really. But this is just how I have them color coded, as top 25th percentile, and then it's #1 for color, Mystique in Ames, Iowa. So it's going to be hard to beat that with cheat code. So cheat code in Ames, Iowa is not like terrible, but a third of a point worse for turf quality, and then half a point worse for color. I would imagine cheat code's better than the competition. Let's look at the competition real quick. Ames, Iowa is, so Iconic is average, middle 50th percentile, so 6.3, not much behind cheat code at all, just happens to kind of cross the threshold beyond 25th percentile. And then it's also average color in Iowa, so middle 50th percentile for color as well. And then NOR is average and top 25th, average and average for color and quality, so middle 50th percentile. SS9000 in Ames, Iowa is average for, I don't even know if you can get this anymore. They either didn't have any inventory or they stopped selling grass seed. I'm not sure if Seed Superstore is still a thing or not. But yes, average for color, average for quality, and top 25th percentile for color. So yeah, Sub-Zero is top 10% for color and quality, and that's actually top 2% for color because it's #1 and #2, top 1.5%. You can even round it up to top 1% for color. And then for quality, it's also top 10% for per cultivar average in Iowa. And I think Iowa is the location you should probably be using. You can use, this column here is Iowa and Minnesota average per inverse coefficient of variation. So yeah, Sub-Zero is definitely going to be the one to use. And if you already have planted cheat code, I would just overseed Umpqua because that's getting you you already have some Mystique in cheat code, and then Umpqua has that #1 turf quality, #2 color. So this is kind of the star, and Mystique is very good as well. #1 for color and top 25th percentile for turf quality. You don't get that very often. Here's one that's close, but it's lesser color. SR 4700. It's like cultivar I don't usually love, but that's Seed Research, which is DLF. I can get it. I'm not a fan of it. This is actually A-list, but A-list is only a couple years of data, but that SR 4750 SR 4700, just because it's A-list doesn't mean it's a cultivar I like. It's worth seeding versus other stuff. Syllable, one syllable. Okay, Ames, Iowa. Okay, Ames. Is there any other way to say it? I must be saying that right. Are you using OBS? OBS. Maybe. Depends what OBS is. I should be using some software because what I'm doing here, this is just straight YouTube, and it's definitely subpar. I got to figure out what people are doing when they're doing this stuff because I can't really do things very efficiently. But yeah, I wanted to touch on, if there's no questions, I'm just going to randomly start talking about what I mentioned in my thumbnail. So accurate watering, hopefully you guys got that. It's really just taken for anyone that, oh no, I'm not going to jump back into it. OBS is a lot easier. Okay, yeah, I'll write that down. OBS. Okay. Fertilizer math. Does anyone not know how to? I'm guessing there's somebody that doesn't know how to do it. So let me jump in over here to a calculator. I got it zoomed way in, so hopefully it is easy to see, even on a phone. All right, so let's say your lawn is hypothetically 3,000 square feet and you're using urea and you want to apply 3/4 of a pound of nitrogen. So you can either do 0.75, 3/4 is 75 cents, or you can just do 3 divided by 4 if you don't know decimal, for different numbers. So 3/4 of a pound of nitrogen, 0.75, and you divide that by the analysis on the bag. So if we're using urea, it's divided by 0.46. It's 0.46 pounds of nitrogen per pound of urea. And then you multiply that by your lawn size, so 3,000 square feet. So that's how much urea you would need, this 4.89 pounds of urea to do a 3/4 pound application of nitrogen. per 1,000 square feet on 3,000 square feet. So just to do this again, let's pretend we're using a Scott's 3204, so it's 32%. And let's say we're wanting to do a full pound of nitrogen. 1 divided by 0.32 and 15,000 square feet. We would need 40 pounds of Scott's 3204. So 1 pound of nitrogen, 0.32 pounds of nitrogen per pound of product, and 15,000 square feet times 15. So this is how to do fertilizer math. And this is regardless of if it's a liquid or not. So let's say we're using diesel exhaust fluid. Let's say you want to do 0.8 pounds of nitrogen. So 0.8 pounds of nitrogen, diesel exhaust fluid is 15% nitrogen, so divided by 0.15. And then let's say your lawn size is 500 square feet, so 0.5. That's how much weight, so it's always in weight, of diesel exhaust fluid you would need to get 0.8 pounds of nitrogen down on 500 square feet. So if you want to remember it, so point to your head, point to the product, point at the ground. So the number that's in your head for a nitrogen rate, this is out of your head. If you're doing smaller rates, you need to do them more often. This rate here should last a while, 4 to 6 weeks, something like that. Depends how hot it is. If the growth potential is at 100% and you want your lawn to look nice, this might only last a month. And then, this diesel exhaust fluid is 32.5% urea. And if you, 0.32 of urea, and whatever, close enough, get that 15% nitrogen. It's really like 14.95 or something like that. 0.325, so 32.5% urea by weight times 0.46. That's what gets you that 15% nitrogen in diesel exhaust fluid. All right. So if there's any questions, let me know. GrubEX, it's a good time to do a grub control. I normally do acetylprin, which is the same active ingredient as GrubEX, so chlorantraniliprole. I'll stop sharing this screen. If there's anything you want me to go over on any website, if you guys want me to review any random websites or products, whatever, I can give you my opinions on them. Any fertilizers, any whatever. I'll just probably be keeping it simple and saying waste of money, but not necessarily. Let's see, how do I stop this? There we go. But that's fertilizer math. You can also, if you want to know how much nitrogen, if you want to calculate how much money something costs, let's do that. Let's say, let's go pull up a designer fertilizer here. And I wish this screen sharing was a little better. I need to get that OBS. Yeah, I need to get that, but that's all right. All right, so let's look for liquid fertilizer. All right, of course. Okay, so you got 16% nitrogen. If you were able to zoom in, I'm not sure if I'll be able to or not, but I'm gonna try. Let's see. You can't see it, but it says there's 10.33 pounds in a gallon. So we're going to be multiplying, jump over here. All right, 10.33 pounds per gallon, and that was $60. Man. All right, calculator right here. Close enough. This works. It's not ideal. Sorry, guys. But 10.33 pounds, and then that was a 0.16 analysis. So there's 1.65 pounds of nitrogen in that product. So $60 divided by 1.65. So that's $36 per pound of nitrogen. I last paid 99 cents per pound of nitrogen. And you don't want phosphorus on your lawn. You don't want potassium on your lawn. Phosphorus is, unless you see it turning purple or maroon, phosphorus is just more POA pressure. And and you don't want potassium on your lawn. There's just almost no situation where you would want potassium on your lawn. Winter kill is about it. I thought I stopped sharing my screen. Okay, cool. All right. I think I'm not seeing any comments. That's too bad, but that's all right. Fertilizer math, urea. Yeah, I don't know if I need to touch on urea, but I've been saying this. ChatGPT is pretty helpful for sourcing the stuff. You don't want to ship it to yourself because it usually it triples the price, sometimes more than that. So yeah, I'd probably recommend ChatGPT, have it help you find 46-0, 0, and 50-pound bags. All right, grass family selection. Here's These are opinions that they could definitely be wrong, but transition zone. I think tall fescue is what you want, and then if you're cold enough, like if you get below about 10 degrees, average January low, that's when you should probably go with bluegrass. I like rye in a lot of places as long as it's good enough quality rye. You should not be planting junk anywhere in the east. Um, so you need some disease performance out of it. And yeah, guys, any questions in the chat, I'm going to be answering them. So this is like a Q&A. So if you do you have any questions, send them over there. But yeah, grass family selection, I'd say tall fescue in the transition zone. If you're south, I would probably be going with Bermuda. Zoysia can have a higher ceiling, I believe, but the Bermuda can look really nice as also, and the drought performance on Bermuda is kind of on another level, and it's just it seems to do well. It's like more optional to water Bermuda grass. Lawn renovation, I don't know. That was just in my thumbnail, but yeah, if you guys want to know how I do a lawn renovation, I would normally spray glyphosate and just wait. So don't scalp, don't dethatch until the lawn is thoroughly dead. So you don't want to impose any mechanical stress because that's going to be slowing down the growing. And the faster it's growing, the faster it's dying. So you want to apply nitrogen and then just let it sit there and die. So if you do it early in the spring, it definitely takes longer to die. If you do it kind of mid-spring, once the soil temps are up, it'll die quicker. And then if you're doing a fall renovation, it dies faster. So everything just takes a little longer in the fall. So if you're throwing seed late summer, early fall, it's going to come up pretty quick, especially for rye. But say 3 to 5 days. But in the spring, it might be 7 days, something like that. But yeah, what else? I don't. Yeah, no comments. So that's all right. I wonder, let's see, what questions have I been getting lately? Um, I got a bunch just today. Yeah. Oops. Oh, whatever. Okay, guys. I might call this if there's no more questions. 'Cause, yeah, there's not a lot for questions. That's all right. Or at least I can't see anything. I haven't seen anything go over there for a little while. Just recommendation at OSB. Kansas City. Yeah, and KBG can do well in the transition zone. It's worth considering. It's going to have like some disease, I think, but not. It doesn't have brown patch pressure, and it can self repair a little more than the fescues. So yeah, and the ceiling for KBG, it can look nice, lower cut, and it has nice color. So yeah, there's definitely it is worth considering almost anywhere. But yeah, probably not in the. I don't think it does well in the Pacific Northwest. It does have shallow roots, so it's going to need more water, and also more water during germination as well. You have to water KBG pretty close to 100% evapotranspiration when you're trying to get a lawn to come up, and rye is about 60%. It can be watered 60% of ET every other day and still germinate fully, so it doesn't take much water. But I wish I could share my whole screen, which I'll need to switch over to that OBS or whatever it is. Because if I could share my whole screen, I could share images of different like studies and drought performance and things like that. How many square feet is your front lawn, and how long does it take you to mow the plaid pattern? I don't know. I don't really. It depends if I'm just mowing or burning it in, because I would normally go over it twice if I was. But it's probably longer than most people would take mowing. I would say to do a good job probably takes an hour and a half, something like that, and it's 2,300 square feet. So it really shouldn't take should take more like half an hour or something if I just mowed it without making it pretty. Every once in a while, I'm in the mood to mow. Like I haven't mowed my front lawn for I don't know, been maybe a week or something like that. GR and KBG. All right, sorry, I need to read this out loud. Yeah. All right. You had mentioned SR 4750 and Paragon 2 GLR and KBG. What would you recommend for a KBG for Minneapolis, Minnesota? Trying to know if I should mix both. All right. So if you mix anything with KBG, you got KBG. Your any rye you put in there is just a nurse crop, and it will reduce weed pressure a little bit, but that's about it. It'll fill in density temporarily if you're starting the season or whatever. You want a little jump on things, but KBG rhizomes win. Rhizomes are highly dominant. There was a study that I just pulled up on ryegrass. They seeded, 10% KBG and 90% rye. It was 95% KBG after 3 years. And with tall fescue, they seeded 2.5 pounds of fescue in with rye on a different study. I think it was at Ohio State, no, North Carolina State, or North Carolina, whatever, somewhere in North Carolina. I think the university. And they did 10% or just 2.5% KBG was 75% KBG after 3 years, and 10% KBG was 99% KBG after 3 years. So you can't get a mixed lawn if it has KBG in it. Really, it's going to basically be pure KBG. But yeah, what would I recommend for KBG? I don't know. I want to say I think KBG. I just kind of glanced at it. I have not done any deep dive on KBG, but I want to say you'll get good turf quality and color kind of at the same time with KBG, where you're kind of getting one or the other. With a lot of grass families, it's hard. There's less cultivars that offer color and quality. Sometimes you at least have to take a slight hit on color or a big hit for quality if you're picking one or the other with fescue or rye. Sometimes, not always. There's a few standouts here and there. But yeah, I would. Let's see, trying to know if I should mix both for best of both and what percentage of each. Yeah, so again, even 1% KBG is going to turn into 100% KBG. So if you want a rye look, you have to pretty much go 100% rye, and there's going to be some drawbacks and risks. You're cold there, so you would need to plan on a higher risk of overseeding needs. So you've got harsh winters. Yeah. See, I real mowed around 1.5 inch, and it does pretty well, and only feed at 4600. Sweet. Yep. That's the recipe right there. You're a real mower, high nitrogen rate if you can do a high nitrogen rate in your area. And then 4600 is great, really low salt index, and there's very few products that will beat urea, and definitely nothing that will beat it for the price. Can KBG crowd out or suppress POA triv? Well, you're basically the same grass family there, it's basically got the same thing going. But no, I wouldn't think so. I think rough bluegrass is going to generally outcompete KBG, but it's a similar thing happening there. It's got rhizomes, so that's what's going on there. But rye. I would say it's likely that rye is less likely to have POA seeds in it, in the actual bag of product. You're probably not going to get many of them in, quality seed either, but they're the same size seed. So if you're cleaning KBG, at the cleaner before it goes to sale, it's going to be pretty hard to clean out any POA seeds. But yeah, I don't have much experience at all with triv. I only see POA annua. In my area, POA annua is a perennial, so it's awful in that regard. And then it's at seed head 12 months a year and germinating most of the time. So you wouldn't recommend TSC Blue Resilience, though, on Resilience 2 in May. All right. So anything Blue Resilience, I'm assuming that's I'm not going around looking at competitors' random blends very often, but I think that was probably a mix of bluegrass and fescue. So the fescue there, that's the problem, is when you have bluegrass, you're not getting the high temperature disease performance of tall fescue because you're going to get a bluegrass lawn. So that's, yep. If I'm not a big fan of mixed lawns in general, I want one grass family. I know that sounds odd. Maybe it's a little more risky, but I think it just looks better. It's all going to green up at the same time. And if you select the right grass family in the right quality genetics, you shouldn't really have many issues to deal with. But if you do have something, you can figure it out, like snow mold or something. You just mow longer, and maybe you need to apply a fungicide if you get something like snow mold. If you get an issue in a single grass family lawn, you can probably figure it out. All right, thank you. All right. Yeah. So my thoughts on mixing anything with tall fescue, I would say decide which grass family you want and go with it. You can do rye and fescue. As that would be fine because there's most fescue is not much for most fescue is not much for. Sorry guys, I need to be able to see what's going on here. I don't know why I did that, but it's all right. Okay. Yeah. All right. Seeded Twin City Seed Fielder's Choice. Let's see. Pangea Manhattan 6, Malala, Greyhawk, overseeded with Dark Legend. Dark Legend's a good product for long portfolio. It has Fireball in it now? I don't think so. I don't think that's right. Can you comment if that's accurate? Because that would be junk. Then that would really mess up that product. All right. Last fall, what cultivar should I overseed with this fall? You didn't give me your location, did you? That's really important. So yeah, if you could give me your location. Yuck. Okay, Fireball is in Dark Legend. I've been telling people that's a good product, and that messes it up. So Furlong is an awesome cultivar, really good cultivar. It's not as good in the Northeast, but it's really good in my area. I would choose it over Mystique. Like that's how good it is in my area. It was a 7.4 for color, and it was a 7.0 for quality in my area. And it's pretty solid in cold. It's solid. It's pretty good. Not I don't think it's like number one or anything, but it's pretty good in the Northeast even. But anyway, portfolio is pretty good. It's my lowest performer in cheat code, but it is in cheat code. It has good color, and it has really solid quality. It's like top 15% for quality, but it's the other ones are like number one, number two for quality in Virginia, Illinois, and New Jersey. Um, Man, that sucks. Fireball. What was he thinking with that? Okay. Northern Missouri. Yeah, Fireball is going to be a disaster in Northern Missouri. It's all going to die. The gray leaf spot on it was 1.7 out of 9, and it's crappy in the rest of the disease category too. Like here. All right, so let's go to the transition zone spreadsheet here. Podium's actually a solid choice in the transition zone. Podium's all DLF genetics. Okay. All right, so here is Fireball and Hat Trick. Out of 114 cultivars that were tested, for disease is 105. And Fireball, 109 out of 114. Now, the ones that do get 114 is like Lynn. It's like pasture grass for feeding animals from, well, I think it's the 1930s. And it almost is almost as bad as that. So Lynn's going to be 114 probably. It's not on here because it's not for turf, and it's not marketed for turf. Anyway, so here's the gray leaf spot rating, 1.7 out of 9, and you're going to get that. You're going to see that in Missouri. It's all going to die, and gray leaf spot is not something you want to mess with. You just expect it to die. You can kill it now, or you can let it die by itself. But here's the traffic performance. Here's the POA annua. This is in New Jersey. In Missouri, it's not going to survive. It didn't even do well in New Jersey. So the worst cultivar in this POA annua test, that's this 25% here. This is 103rd out of 114 for Fireball. This POA annua test right here, this 25% POA, the worst performer literally died. It's the Lin I was talking about, and it was 60% POA. So that 60% means like zero density. So 25% POA is not great. This is the worst of anything that went to market that I know of. All right, snow mold average. This is divot recovery, second to worst performer. So the only thing that did worse died. So so Fireball, they took divots out, and basically they didn't recover at all. Where most other anything decent. Let's see. So let's go up to the blends. So 50% recovery for SS 9000, 52%, NOR's 53%, Iconic 54%, and then my stuff's going to be not much better, 56%, and then is that right? No, that's not right. Sorry, Podium 63%. So this is kind of where you get to really minor stolen activity, that's 63%. So it's kind of when you get to these averages, these aren't going to have stolens, and that's mostly tillering. So just the recovery from the tillering was about 53%. And then if you get a recovery from a little bit of stolen, not much at all, but platinum does have one of the cultivars is stoloniferous, like Mystique right here. Where's Mystique? Third out of 114, and then SR 4750 is in Podium first, and then Zoom 2 is in Podium fifth out of 115. So they're all top 5% in Podium, but I don't know where I was going at, but yeah, here's the low input score. So performance, which is not terrible on Fireball, but it also has things like disease and POA annual performance and stuff. So the low input score here on the right, Fireball is not pretty. But mostly this disease, this gray leaf spot is going to take out your lawn. And I think, is that brown patch at the first number there? Missouri, this is where StemRest was tested in Missouri. This is one of the only places with enough disease pressure to test it, and 4.3 out of 9. And just to give you an idea, my stuff, Podium was 8.9 out of 9. Platinum's not for that area. So cheat code would be a logical choice, 8.1 out of 9. So that was tested in New Jersey. And Podium, DLF just dominates disease well. Pretty good, well-rounded product out of DLF. The breeder. Okay, let me jump back to comments. There's probably some by now. Let's see, where am I? Okay. Yeah, so let me tell you, so Hold the Pickle 8. Let's see, Fielder's Choice. So Pangea is solid. I'm not sure about Manhattan 7. I'm not sure if I could find that on MTEP or not. There were other similar cultivars that I could, and I don't think I found Malala, but I believe that's an older cultivar. And then Greyhawk. Let's look at the disease performance. Crap, how do I get back over there? All right, so what was that? Was it Greyhawk? Because Grey Wolf is pretty good for disease, but I don't know about Greyhawk. I think Greyhawk was tested on here, but I don't think it's competitive. So I don't think I put it on here because I don't think it went. I don't think you can get it single cultivar. Okay. All right. So you wouldn't recommend Twin City Blue. In general, if it's Twin City, I'm not likely. I wouldn't gamble on it if I'm not familiar with it. I'm gonna recommend United Seeds. They're not likely to be worse than Twin City, and they have a pretty high probability of being much better. All right. Thank you for help. All right, so yeah, Dark Legend, Furlong's good, Portfolio's good, Fireball's junk. I'm not sure. Let's see, did you say where you were? Missouri, yeah. That is not appropriate. Fireball does not do well in Missouri. Oops. Yep. All right. Man, that's crazy. All right, yeah. I can't believe Fireball is in Dark Legend. That's disappointing. So now all of the products, yeah, at least 2 of the cultivars are good in Dark Legend, but I would still avoid it just from that. Do you recommend for tall fescue in New England? I have recommendations. I'm going to make a product specific for New England, but it's going to be 2028. And for now, I just recommend United Seeds. There's a cat trying to get in here, but that'll be all right. All right. What are your thoughts on Dark 30? I think yeah, so the next comment, got it. It can work if you're in a low disease pressure area, but here, let's jump over, look at it. Let's go to MTEP directly. I'm surprised I haven't gone to MTEP directly this live stream. All right, MTEP. Nope. There we go. Okay, so let's go to the home screen. So You can click, you can pretty much always click on previous data, even if it's the newest stuff. So let's look at dark 30. All right, so to start with, if you, I don't know if you didn't give me a location. If you want to give me a location, we can be more specific. But dark 30 is prominent too, right here. So 2023, so they planted in 2022, and then their first data is 2023. So the way NTEP works, they plant the seed. The next year, they do data for the next 5 years, and then they average it. So this maximum in top 25%. So this was tested in 20 locations. So you'll see all the numbers are even increments of 5 because 20 divisible into 100 is increments of 5. So prominent 2 didn't hit top 25% in a single location out of 20. That is rare. There's going to be a few. Barenbrug usually has some bad performers, especially on the rye trials. Yeah. And they have a few that are awesome, but they're pretty much, I think they purchased them from Jacqueline, which has really nice genetics. So I stock some Jacqueline and Barenbrug stuff now. But anyway, so Barenbrug, you'll see 0% max and top 25% there and there. Bad disease performance, bad color, bad traffic, usually bad, a lot of things out of most of these. But if you see this bar on here, that's Barenbrug. All right, dark matter. So here's another one so this one, for example, I think dark matter is a Twin City. Look at that, 0% max and top 25%. So it didn't perform at a single location. And then, so this is the last page on NTEP is a great reference for looking for duds. So here we got 0% max and 5.4 for turf quality. So the worst performer is going to be Lynn. Let's see how Lynn did. So Lynn, again, is a pasture grass from the 1930s, 4.1. So 5.4, this is actually tied for fourth to last on this sheet here. So out of all the locations averaged, this is tied for third to last this year. So yeah, 0% max and top 25%. If you might have given me a location, but before you do that, let's see. I have to go back over here. How do I do this? Why is this so hard? That's what she said. All right. I guess I have to do this to jump around. Okay. Did that even show that? Okay. Hopefully that showed you that. Let's see. Version. So right now I just opened up. Let's see what happens here. Okay. So I'm going to try to open up 2024 data real quick. Looks like it's working. Okay. So last page here. Here's dark 30 right here. Prominent 2. 5% max in top 25%. So 4.7 for turf quality. This is tied for fourth to last out of everything here. And then here is Lynn as kind of a metric to show that nothing should even get close to this number here, 4.0, and prominence at 4.7. Top performers are at about 6. 6. Let's see, do I see anything much higher than that? No. And just because it is a top performer here doesn't mean it's necessarily oh, hold on. Oh yeah, never mind. Yeah, usually the top performers here are nice. But anyway, 4 for Lynn. So pasture grade grass from old ancient genetics that aren't really for lawns. And it's not a lot better. So it's 2/3 it's closer to the bottom than it is the top. So it's not a top performer. This is third to last place, tied for third to last, and tied for fourth to last in 2024 data. Those are the only 2 years we have so far. And let me see if you mentioned your specific location. Nope. Oh wait, maybe you did. Let me scroll down here. All right, yeah, he hates dark 30. I'm just saying what NTEP. I'm just saying it's not an evidence-based thing. NTEP tests this stuff and it didn't do well. That's all. But I have seen it look good. I have seen the density might be bad. It might throw oh yeah. So let me show you guys specific to my area. I was oh gosh, how do I do this? Let's see, is this working? I'm not sure if it is or not. Does not look like it is. Yeah, I need to definitely switch platforms because this is not great. All right, so I know it's sharing this page. All right, so previous data. Let me look specifically in my area. So if you're going to do dark 30, my area is probably its best chance at not looking bad. So okay. So let's go down to Corvallis, Oregon. All right there. So look at this. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, ninth from the bottom. So here, and we can look at color too. It doesn't even have nice color in my area, just average color. All right, so prominent to 5.4. So this is dark 30, by the way. The lowest scores, the highest scores are much higher. So 7.8. Would you rather have 7.8 turf quality or 5.4? And the least statistical difference is 0.9. So it's, what is that, triple the least statistical difference? Pretty much getting close. So the least statistical difference is the point of confidence that this is better than that. So yeah, it's way down there. It's much closer to Lin than it is elite. So is way down there. But here's what I noticed that was kind of interesting. So look at these winter scores, 4.7, 5.0. Let's see, and look at the best performers, 8, 7. Here's January, 6.7, 8.0. Look at, here's prominent too, 5, 5.3. So right around 5 for turf quality around the winter. Then in the middle of the summer, it's not great either. Look, 6, 6. And the best performers are going to be closer to 8 or 9. Oh gosh, where'd that go? Let me go like this to go back to it. All right, so Corvallis, Oregon, the best performers in the summer around 8, and then it is around 6. So not too bad in the summer. The least statistical difference 1.2, 1.4 in the summer, but in the winter is really bad. So that's when you'll notice it more than anything. But I have seen dark 30 look good. There's people in my area that blast them with fungicides and nitrogen, and they look fine. And then if you keep throwing seed, I don't think NTEP allows for overseeding, but you would not want to do anything that's bad, anything like this, anything on this page, anywhere in the east. And well, this is specific to Corvallis, but if you look at specific locations, oh, that sucks. Why didn't that work? Dang it! I'm so bad at this. All right, I need a. I can't believe I've been just going off on my screen. I need to make this so I can actually see it. What on earth? Why is this not working? All right, I swear that was going to work, and then it didn't. So I need to find the right page. Yeah, this YouTube could make this a little more user friendly. So I'm on the right page. I click on this, make sure it's working. It's not. Why not? What page is it looking at? It's just that I don't know what it's doing. I cannot even find the page it's referencing. So I might as well not even be sharing my screen. Okay. Anyway, sorry, I guess I can see the I can see the comments, or I can see what I'm seeing, but you guys can't. Very helpful. Intensity. I can hope it works on the dog wear and tear. Yeah, so if you have dog urine, tall fescue is going to be best for that, followed by rye, and then bluegrass is low on the totem pole for surviving dog pee. It will self-repair, but fescue is not usually going to get damaged as bad in the first place. If you're sharing your screen, why can't we see what you're reading? Yeah, exactly. That would be nice. I don't know. Sorry. Wait, if I just close these out, let's see. Let me just go to this screen, ntep.org. All right, so let me see what happens here. It might have had, I don't know why I did that. Okay, sure. I need to look at my phone to make sure it's actually sharing. Okay, I think Let me scroll down, scroll up. I think we're on the same page here. Has a little bit of a delay on my end. I could not, there it goes. Wow, that's actually a pretty good delay. Okay, so previous data. So let's do that again, the sequel, this time with stuff on the screen. So here's dark 30 at the, right here. So 5.4. If you give me your area, I can be more specific again. So 5.4, 0% max in top 25th percentile. Here's Lynn right here. So this is going to be the worst performer, and even it got 5% max in the top 25th percentile. But anyway, 0% max and top 25%, 5.4. And then Lynn is way down there, 4.1. So in this case here, prominent two, the first year it hadn't seen a summer yet. Or this was its first summer, I guess. But yeah, not a great, this right here tells you it's a dud. And then I wish I could go back, but I can't. That might be the way to do it. Might have just figured it out. Did it still not work? All right, I'm gonna look down at my phone a little bit here. It's really delayed, which doesn't help. Okay. So I think I figured it out. So that's good. Good news for next stream. I think I got it figured out. All right. So here is 2024 data. This is dark 30, prominent 2. 5% max in top 25th percentile. An average performer is going to be 25% max here. And then 4.7 out of, looks like the best performers are 5.8, 5.9. Yeah. And these are not necessarily anything you would want to plant. Like this Wicked Cool is pretty good. But just because it did well here doesn't mean you necessarily want to plant it. You're going to want to be more exact about how you look at these things. But I was going to look at this in Oregon. I was just showing you an example. Too bad I wasn't showing it to you. But here is like dark 30 in my area. So when I'm on my local group, so this is the second page. So there's 2 pages of cultivars. So all these did better. And then here's dark 30, really close to the bottom. You got to consider it the bottom because these are not going to market. This is probably going to be the only one that goes to market. And then dark matter is another bad one. This is, I think Twin Cities sells this. I could be wrong, but they sell cultivars like that. All right, anyway, so 5.4. And then the best performers are like 7.8, 7.7, 7.6. And then the least statistical difference is 0.9. So if you had, let's just call the cutoff on elite, let's say it's 7.4 is elite. So 6.3, anything worse than 6.3 is not elite. And this is double that. And then especially in the winter. So 5.0, 5.5, and then these are around 5 too. So November, December, January, February. We got scores around 5, and then the elite stuff, 8, high to mid 7s. And this is in the winter. So you're getting an 8 versus a 5 in the winter. And then in the summer, it's more like a 6 versus a 7, mid 7s and 8s for the good stuff. All right. And then let's look at color. Color is near the bottom. So let's look at color on dark 30. And this is where it's going to get kind of regionally specific. Table 27 is probably too far. Spring color. Yeah, and a lot of these weeds and disease isn't going to be great. I think color is a little earlier on this one. Seed heads, fall color. I think I went too far. Might be table 15. Spring grain up usually right before that. Okay, so real high for color, but only a handful of these locations are fertilized. Let's see, and let's look at Oregon is an 8. And if you look down here, that's just totally average. So this is like a lot of people are in my group are planting it the real bad stuff for color was sixes and sevens, but there's a lot of stuff that's better than 8. And this is just 1 year that I'm looking at here. And then if you look at unfertilized locations, like Connecticut is unfertilized 7, so it's got the best score for unfertilized. Iowa is a fertilized location, 8.3. There's scores of 8.3, 8.7. Most cultivars are scoring at a 8, so slightly above average there in Iowa. So in cold, I bet if we looked at the quality, it probably wouldn't look very good. Indiana is a fertilized location, 6.7. Looks slightly better than average. That seems to be like in the top third ballpark, maybe a little better. And then, yeah, good color in Indiana too. I don't know what, that's probably at a higher height of cut or a lower height of cut. I'm not sure. Minnesota is a fertilized location, 7. That is on the higher end of the scale. So yeah, good color. If you get real specific about it and look at only the fertilized locations, it might look different for color. But I prefer to pick cultivars that have color and quality. And yeah, this is just 1 year. This is sweet. I think I actually did figure out how this works. Maybe. We can't see what you were showing. Why not? Dang it. This is so annoying. Tab instead. Did I figure it out? Oh boy. Why? Okay. Success. All right. I thought I was doing it right before. Oh man. I don't think I'm publishing this one. This is bad. All right, now you can finally see what I'm seeing. I do not want to do this a third time, but I will. Okay, right here is what I was trying to show multiple times. This last page of NTEP. Let me zoom in so you can see it a bit better if you're on a phone. So this is dark 30 right here, so prominent 2. So 4.7 for turf quality. This is all locations. It's 20 locations, and this is 2024 data. It did top 25% in one of those 20 locations here. And Lynn is the worst cultivar, just as a reference, 4 for quality, and prominent was a 4.7, and then elite performers 6, 5.9, something like that. So, and then color is pretty good on it, but the disease is probably going to be bad. So let me just pull up a disease. I can look for it kind of near the bottom. This is just kind of typical of cultivars marketed as dark. So here's another Poa annua. Let's look at that. Very last place. And I haven't done this. This is just normal for cultivars marketed as dark. So you can see prominent 2, last place. This was tested in Indiana, so it has some disease pressure. All right, so let's look at this. Poa annua ratings here. Prominent 2 looks like about bottom 10% in this other Indiana location. All right, and then we can just look at a bunch of these metric percent weeds. So I'm not even pulling it up. Where is it? Here, I'll just do it like this. We can go metric by metric, but you can see it's down at the bottom here, down at the bottom here, down. It's kind of in the middle here. What is this? Virginia. That kind of surprises me a little bit. All the ratings are growing season. That might have something to do with it. It seems to be the winters that it doesn't like. North Central region near the bottom. So it's 2, 4, 6, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So bottom 10% ballpark in Oregon. Yeah, you can see it's right near the bottom on all of these until you get to color. Iowa 2, 4, 5th from the bottom out of 78, 4th from the bottom. Shade performance 2nd from the bottom. Yeah, so this is just ntep.org. And that's cool that you can actually see it. I figured out what I need to click on so you guys can see what I'm seeing. Yeah, anyway, I'm going to go back to the comments now that I can actually engage with you and not be talking to myself. So this is a good time to join now that I have screen sharing kind of halfway figured out and I'm not just talking to myself. What's better, ryegrass or Kentucky bluegrass? I don't know how to answer that, but in a lot of climates, bluegrass will be better in the Pacific Northwest, and if you go north and know what you're doing, ryegrass can look better. All right. Ryegrass is not thatchy, but ryegrass has seed heads. So this is the worst thing about ryegrass is the seed heads are very woody, very high in lignins, so they're very persistent. So once a year after seed heads, I let it hang out for a month and then I scalp them. And that basically, takes the height down below where the seed heads are, and then you get fresh, perfect growth growing from there. So I'll wait about a month so the seed heads kind of run their course. I don't want to scalp and do that super stressful process on the grass and then have it the seed heads just come right back. I want to get rid of all of them. So I wait about a month, then I do a slow scalp, less stressful on it, and take it down to about half the cutting height and then let it return. And then bluegrass, the worst thing about bluegrass is it's very thatchy. It's got rhizomes, so rhizomes equal thatch. So you're going to have to be more aggressive on your thatch if you're chasing color. If your nitrogen goes over about 2.5 pounds per 1,000 square feet per year. So if your nitrogen, if you're doing more than about 5 pounds of urea per year per 1,000 square feet, you're going to be getting thatched with bluegrass, and you got to be pretty aggressive on your dethatching. All right. So the live stream starts now. The rest of that disaster, hopefully no one watches that. All right, here usually recommend fertilizer in May. Bluegrass. I need to know your area. If you're in the Pacific Northwest, yeah, if it's watered, I'm running my nitrogen highest in the middle of summer. But I would not recommend doing anything like that if you have a lot of disease pressure. So any comments, if you can include your location, that'll be better. Some of my seed boss just started to come up. What is a seed boss? All right, we can't. No, that's good. Can have fun with that. Should be good. When you're mowing grass, I usually just recommend don't displace this dirt. So try not to wear aggressive traction. But you can walk on brand new grass, no problem at all, as long as the soil stays where it is. I walked on mine every day, dragging a 3/4 inch hose. Before and after germination, almost every day for an hour, and no dead footprints. It's not as delicate as it looks. It can bend over, no big deal. Some of the CMOS. All right, see. We can't see what you were showing. Yeah, sorry about that. I'm sure has been a interesting. It's kind of like watching a train wreck. It's hopefully still entertaining. All right. All I can hear is the numbers you're talking about. All right. Now we can see it. Dip scores. All right. Do you or who offers SR 4750? I don't sell Paragon 2, but I currently stock SR 4750. I'm thinking about not stocking it anymore at some point. But yeah, it performs really well for. All right, stop sharing. It performs really well for disease performance. It's pretty good in cold. But yeah, I stock that. I don't know who stocks Paragon. Paragon, I think that might be Seed Merchant. So Ryan Knorr, if you talk to him, he can likely special order you a 50-pound bag if you can't find it elsewhere. All right, what am I doing here? I have to tell it what. There. Yeah, so SR 4750. So here it is at pretty near the top of disease performance. Really good stem rest, average red thread. Most things same red thread, basically. Top 10% for stem rest, brown patch, top 10% for crown rust, and top 25th percent for gray leaf spot. And then snow mold, most of my stuff is not good in snow mold. But yeah, the most important thing, snow mold, keep mowing as far into winter as you can. This probably isn't big enough that you can see it on a phone. But yeah, here's snow mold here, average. Zoom 2 is something, I might not stock that forever, but that is a top performer in most respects, but I do currently have it. Average snow mold. Podium is average snow mold. let's see, Slugger, average, average, average. Pretty much all my stuff is average snow mold. I think there's an exception. What is it? Portfolio, top 25th percentile is one of mine. Sub-zero, average. So yeah, snow mold. It's pretty rare to get performers with snow mold. Yeah, Spike GLX, let's see, has snow mold. Anyway, stop sharing. I'm going to go back to the comments. All right, you can see it. Had to overseed with hat-trick fireball due to it dying from winter kill. Yeah, that I think, I don't know if you saw, you probably didn't, but I was showing how bad the dark cultivars can do in the winter specifically. Trying to decide if I should kill it off and replant from Minnesota. Yeah, Minnesota, I would either do bluegrass with rye as a nurse crop, or I would do SR40. If you can find that Paragon 2, that would be a great one to pair with SR4750. Both of these are top 25% in turf quality and color in Minnesota. Prominent 2, Dark Legend or Dark 30. Prominent 2 is Dark 30. Dark Legend, somebody mentioned it has Fireball in it now, which sucks because I was telling people it was a pretty solid product. So 2 of the 3 cultivars are pretty solid, but Fireball is definitely not. Is probably, I mean, it's, in my opinion, it's the lowest quality cultivar that made it to market on the last NTEP trial. NTEP uses 1970s mini computer. Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. Yeah, it's like all old school. All right, yeah, Prominent 2 is Dark 30. Somebody answer that. Thanks. So Dark 30, also Twin City is also, so Dark 30 is Night Shift, which is like Jesse at Lawn Life. Seems to, most of his content seems to be pretty good, not very good at picking out grass seed cultivars. Yeah. I can't see much. Yeah, I'm real sorry that the screen sharing did not work. I think I figured it out. I think I need to get better about doing it. But let me assume, I don't know if this shared properly, but I did want to teach, just go over watering basics. So this is, if you're new to this stream, the beginning was such a disaster that I might as well just do that again. But digital.weather.gov, it'll bring you, let me just reset this to the, all right, go here. So I'm gonna plug this into the chat. So if anybody wants it, they can have it there. Oh, I don't think I'm sharing my screen. Oh yeah. Okay. All right, we're good. So for Chicago, if you're overseeding, you could do single cultivar if you want. So Mystique and Slugger 3GL are going to be the best. If you want to target color specifically, Portfolio is going to offer the best color of those 3. And those are the 3 in cheat code. But yeah, Slugger is #1 for turf quality. Mystique is basically right there. You shouldn't really notice the difference. They're both, yeah, #1 and #2 for turf quality, and they have nice color as well. And then Portfolio is down a few notches, still in the top 12% or something for turf quality. So still an elite cultivar for turf quality. But yeah, the color is on a Portfolio is better. So if you have KBG, the KBG is going to dominate it and kick it out anyway. So you might make sense to do Portfolio. It just depends. Your bird bath idea sounds incredible. What? What happened there? Oh, wow, that's funny. Oh, okay. My wife is a professional YouTuber, and this computer, I think, is linked. You can't see that, but I just pasted one of my wife's comments to somebody that she was. Anyway, let me paste the right thing. That's funny to be aware that that is a possibility. So anyway, here is this digital weather thing. Did I miss anything? I don't think I did. Sorry, this is so bad. Whatever. So you can see what I see. This right here, you want to go to this field right here, this drop down box. Why isn't this working? Sharing this. Okay. that working? I think it is. Yep. All right. Sweet. Okay, so this total weekly forecasted rate of evapotranspiration, this right here, this is water loss specific to your area. So let's pretend we live in Detroit. So just kind of center that on the map. This is easier to do on a cell phone, but where'd Detroit go? So you can zoom into your exact street if you want to. Let's say you're right here somewhere. Zoom in, and you can click right here, create a bookmarkable URL. You're going to want to make sure this drop-down box is accurate first, total weekly forecasted rate of evapotranspiration. And you can, I'd encourage people to share this with other people. So you can make an exact water loss for their area, and you can share this link with them. So if I if I paste this down in the chat, this is a link specific for evapotranspiration that is specific for this area. So it automatically does the drop-down box right here, and then it automatically has the exact zoom in that you know, if you want it zoomed out a little more or whatever, you can just create bookmarkable URL. Now you've got a link that's custom for somebody or yourself. And anytime you refresh this link, if you bookmark it and refresh it, then it'll pull this right up. And every once in a while, you have to redo it. It seems like every year or two, you might have to redo it. Like they do maintenance or something or change something in their website and it messes up. But yeah, that's pretty nice. But if you actually click on this map, it'll give you a number. This right here, so 1.1 inches of water per week, and this is before a crop coefficient. Grass actually uses less than this. This is designed for short crop agriculture, but most grass doesn't use this much water. So let's use that 1.1 inches. And there's some Seed Boss website that, let's see here. Gosh, I'm lazy. I wish this is not good. Okay, there we go. Okay, so right here, seeding care. This will have crop coefficients. These are just estimates, but right here. So perennial ryegrass at my cutting height, I've had really good success at this. 75% of evapotranspiration. So you take that 1.1, for example, multiply it by 0.75. That's your water loss for the week. So let's say it's 0.8, somewhere in that ballpark is about your water loss for the week right now. And if you cut that into 3 waterings per week, so let's say Monday, Wednesday, Friday, you would just take that number divided by, so you do 8 divided by 3. So you do, you know, maybe 0.27 inches of water per week, something like that. At that cutting height in that grass type in that location at this time. So it factors in wind, cloud cover, temperatures, humidity, all that stuff. Okay. Yeah, so I don't intend to publish this live stream because I need to get, you know, I didn't know what I was doing at first here, but it's good trial run. Let's see. All right. So this is tiny on the screen. It's not getting better. I don't know why. I hit zoom in and it gets less zoomed in. Oh, whatever. Okay. Are there any questions? I said I was going to go over GrubEX. I think I did. Yeah, chlorantraneloprol. I usually use a Celiprin, so May or June is a good time to put down. I do it by weight, so 5.93 grams of that. So 5.93 grams. You could round it to 6 grams probably per 1,000 square feet is a good rate for the Celiprin, like the liquid stuff. And if you're doing GrubEX, bag rate is 2.87 pounds per 1,000 square feet. And that's the same active ingredient, chlorantraneloprol. It's very safe, hangs out in the soil a long time, be safe even. And then, yeah, if you have property, if you can get Durentis, it's possible. You have to be an applicator. Anything you buy, you want to make sure, Frankenstein light. I'll have to look into that. Richardson's roots. Not sure what that is, but I'll take a look at that in a second here. But yeah, it's a good time to get GrubEX down or acetylprin, or if you have property and you read the label and it's legal for you to apply it, Durantis is about half the price of either of those. So that is safe, works well on grubs. You don't need to do it, but it can be a good idea, especially if you have a history of grub damage or critters digging. It can reduce that a little bit, but they're mostly digging for worms. All right, so can I copy this? Sweet. I'm not going to share my screen until I look at this. I'm going to get like practical drug played on me or something. All right, best manual reel mower made. Oh, this German. I think I have seen this before. Or it at least sounds German. I don't know if it. Oh yeah, handmade German reel mower. All right, let's see. I'm not familiar with it, so try to jump over to it, but I wouldn't be able to do much with it. $1,500, 7-blade. So it has a higher clip rate, looks like. And clip rate is definitely a problem with push reel mowers, or it can be. It can get some kind of 66 pounds. Looks like it's got rollers, so yeah, looks like a good option. Usually German stuff is nice. I don't like that it only goes up to 25 millimeters, so I would be maxing that out. And you'll get okay color at that. Let's see. Let's look at the specs on this thing. That's a nice drum. Looks good. Yeah, maybe I should get this. All right. Yeah, I like the price. It's great. $1,500. Looks like the height of cut is easy to adjust. Those blades look a little dainty to me, but that's all right. You're probably not going to get as good of stripe definition, since this thing only weighs, I think it said like 70 pounds or something like that. Yeah, 60. That's the shipping weight, I think. So 66 pounds. So it's not going to stripe quite like a battery or a motorized reel mower. The 7 blades is appropriate for 1-inch cutting. It might struggle if you're wanting to go down below about 1/2 inch. That's probably not enough blades to cut low. I think cutting low is a waste of time and will have inferior color. So I don't love this smooth front roller, but it's totally fine at 1 inch, so it works within the specs of the mower. But yeah, I'd be mowing, if I had this, I'd be mowing at 1 inch, and I would be fine with this roller. It'd be all right. You might get a little straighter stripes if you do a groove front roller, and then it might cut just slightly cleaner if you get at least some grooves on the front roller, even if they're not very good grooves, not very deep. The grass catcher, you don't need that. Yep. I like German-made stuff. I got a lot of like German-made power tools and German-made hand tools. I used to work at a hardware store for a long time, and real familiar with like Wera, and it's probably Vera, but Kinepex and all that fancy German stuff. Very familiar with all that stuff. And yeah, this looks nice to me. Is it possible to reel mow around 2-inch, or is that too high? It's possible. Like it does depend on your genetics. So my prior lawn was Hat Trick and Pangea, and I could not get my height of cut to look good any higher than 1.2 inches. I wanted it higher, but I could not do it. With Mystique, I successfully reel mowed at 2 inches, but I didn't like the look as much as 1 3/8. I think just looks really nice. You do have to mow a little more often to stay at 1 3/8. So sometimes I will not be on top of mowing, and I'll just adjust my height up to about 1 3/4 and do a mow. And if I'm way behind on mowing, then I will max out my mower at 2 inches and go over it at 2 inches. Yeah, this thing's pretty sweet. I might bookmark this. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely good to have some alternatives to the junk that's out there. I don't know, but yeah, I'll be able to see this. All right, and that makes sense. Okay, yeah, 1 3/8 I like, but you do need a deeply grooved front roller to even be at 1 3/8. 2 inches, it's kind of hard to get that past even a deeply grooved front roller and have it hit the bed knife and without missing blades. And then those blades, once they get missed, they'll have a tendency to get missed again. So you can have blades that are 3 inches or more just kind of starts looking sloppy. And if you go two different directions, you will be able to. I can't do it. You will be able to start lacking some definition in that. So yeah, but yeah, sorry for the incompetence with the screen sharing. And let me give you guys a rundown. I'll probably do this on another live stream when I know what I'm doing. But maybe just give you guys some basics with NTEP, because yeah, when I first got into NTEP, I was probably doing what a lot of people are doing, but I did a lot of things wrong. Let's see. All right, so yeah, here's NTEP. When you first go, let's start from scratch, see if this works. I think this is going to keep sharing the screen. Yep, okay. All right, so this is a screen you'll start at. You gotta agree to not, misrepresent grasses, which there's definitely websites that do. But anyway, so you click on that, previous data, and let's take Kentucky bluegrass high input. And we're going to want to probably avoid the newest trial, because 1 year of data, like on the last trial for rye, the cultivars would start strong, and by the end of the trial, they were not worth planting. So the 5 years of data is nice, but so let's take the final report is usually what you want, printable version right there. So this gets you in. Yep, just making sure it's working. And if you are just like real quick, like looking at a bag of grass seed at the store, this right here is probably the best place to look, or look at your turf quality in your local location. So whatever. Oh, and actually, before you do anything with that, all right. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, 7. So here's all your cultivars. All right, page 8 right here. This column, so mowing height can be relevant. Like look at this location here, Nebraska, cut at 0.6 to 1 inch. That's probably too low for a lot of people. And then this one, Indiana, no irrigation, cut at 4 inches. That might not be relevant. So you might want to eyeball the height of cut. But the most important thing, a good starting point, is right here. And with bluegrass, it looks like they fertilized almost all these locations. So bluegrass has a lot less junk data. With rye, like half the locations are fertilized, half of them are not. So, you go to rye and you might pick a location you think is similar to yours, but they haven't fertilized it for 5 years. It's totally irrelevant junk data. But anyway, this could get thatchy, 4 to 5 pounds of nitrogen. So if you're going to be dethatching, this location might be a good one to use. Or, you're in the transition zone or whatever. You want to pick a few locations with similar disease pressure. I usually reference the July low for the temperature when looking at locations, and that is a pretty good inference to disease pressure. And then the high temperature is relevant, but the low temperature is a lot more relevant. Anyway, so this nitrogen, this can be really relevant for some grass families. And this one, like 1 to 2 pounds, that might be less nitrogen than you want. No nitrogen at all in Michigan. So it's like, who cares? It's totally irrelevant location. And unfortunately, that location, it goes into the averaging. So if you look at, the averages for 6 locations in the Northeast region, might be one of these sheets. And then there will be 3 locations that have like a weird cutting height, or they'll have no nitrogen or hardly any nitrogen. So here's Utah. This is usually drought testing, but it's not here to prevent dormancy. So they're watering it some, but no nitrogen. So soil pH, that could be relevant when you get to Utah. Deserts tend to be high pH. So look at this pH right here. Could be relevant, 8.5. Yeah, not likely to be relevant, but it could be on that one location. All the rest of these pH ranges look pretty good. Kentucky, that's probably fine. 4.6 to 5.5 should be all right. You can ignore phosphorus. You can ignore potassium. Really, this nitrogen right here is what you want to look at, and just take note of any locations you should be skipping. And then you want to find the locations that are most similar to you, and full sun, dense shade. If you're going to be planting with some shade, you want to definitely look at Iowa. It's where they tend to do the shade testing. Yeah. Anyway, so If you look at the last page here, you can't see it. Thanks for commenting. Why not? Try this tab. I know how to do it, but I'm not doing it properly. All right. Glad I haven't scared everyone off yet. You guys, thanks for helping me uh, learn. I need to look at my comments more often. All right. So yeah, thank you about that. Sweet. All right. So going back over that again, this will, yeah, this one's not going not getting published. I don't think. This is just too bad. All right, right here, this page right here. I think this is about page 7. It says it's page 4, like in terms of actual pages. But this nitrogen right here, right here can be very relevant to some grass families. This one has a few throwaway locations. So California, no nitrogen there. Oh, sorry, Connecticut, no nitrogen. Connecticut, they usually don't put any nitrogen on it for some reason. So I consider that junk data. Indiana, no nitrogen there. On this trial, they did nitrogen with rye. Yeah, Michigan, no nitrogen. So you want to just pay attention to areas that have cultural practices, especially the nitrogen well outside of what your cultural practices are. And then the height of cut can be relevant too. So this is 4 inches plus for bluegrass. That not very common, I don't think, to be mowing that high. But and then Nebraska here mowed sub 1 inch. So if you're wanting to do that, I don't know why you would, but if you're wanting to mow that low, that could be relevant there. But if you're mowing higher than that, like 2 inch or 3 inch, that data might not be helpful. It might be better to exempt that from your averaging. Then Utah is often drought testing, but not here. It could be, but I don't think it is. It'll actually say it on another page here. But yeah, no nitrogen at the Utah location, and really high pH at the Utah location too. So you might want to just take some data with a grain of salt. So Utah, is it drought testing? This page here will tell you kind of the type of testing they did. This is page 1. So you get traffic, and then traffic locations. I would generally exempt those and look at that as kind of a separate thing if it's relevant. Because yeah, usually it's not going to have traffic, but traffic at one of the Arkansas locations and Massachusetts, and traffic during the summer for some reason in New Jersey. That's really specific. And then traffic in one of the Virginia locations. So yeah, VA2. Anyway, yeah, so traffic, I would generally exempt those or kind of sidebar those. And then I want to have nitrogen at any locations. These are all your cultivars. And as they name them, that page there will update, and it'll have the test name as well. And some cultivars they don't even name until after the trial is done. But yeah, on NTEP, this very last page right here, it's a great place to go to check if something's a dud. If you just have a bag of grass seed, you're wondering if it's any good, you'll have to look at multiple trials. Sometimes if you're just buying seed at a store, they can have some old stuff in there. But let's see, let's look at, I'm on KBG, and I'm not very familiar with KBG. So here is a bunch of DLF stuff. All right, so they had a few good ones. So this one here, that one will probably go to market if it isn't already. And then this one would go to market. And then this one would probably go to market as well. And then this guy here is most likely a solid performer. So it's Iron Blade. And then you'd want to look at these climate specific. But yeah, and I'm going to go real climate specific on everything. But this is a great page to look for cultivars that are probably good, and they don't necessarily have a good color. So I would usually want them to have good color also, but star. And yeah, and then you can plug in like a specific cultivar. So Control F. Let's say you're interested in cloud. Looks like a good one. All right, so you might go down here and see this location here is, okay, so see this page, the first pages are 2020, 2018, 2018, 2018, and we'll get down. So these are all individual years, but then you want to go to the summary pages here. So this is all 4 years, Schedule A. So this is lots of locations. This again is summary metrics, but a lot of these locations are not necessarily fertilized, but you could see it's real near the top there in these locations. Oops. And then, so Schedule B right at the top as well. And then Schedule C, is this Schedule 3? No, is there no Schedule C on this one? Okay. All right, so Schedule A and Schedule B, so just kind of groups of locations. So you could see this is, it says Northeast region, but Connecticut's not fertilized. So, and then New Jersey too is traffic. So this this has one metric that I would like zoom in on. I'd zoom in on this middle column here, more than NJ2, I think, is traffic testing, and Connecticut 1 is not fertilized. And then, keep doing that. And I want to look at color is usually closer to the end. Let's see, probably right about here, dollar spot, probably missed it. So color is always a good one to look at as well, even though it is already in turf quality. Leaf texture weak, right here. Okay, so kind of middle of the road for color, but you can look at specific locations. So cloud is right here. See strong color in Tennessee, probably not, and we've got bluegrass here. I'm just looking at a specific cultivar. This is not how I would do the analysis, but just showing you some things. You can do this control find, and you can kind of click around and navigate through the trial pretty quick. And you want to skip the first several pages because those are individual years. You want to get to the pages that look for turf. When you're looking at turf quality, you want to skip to the, so we're at table 17 here. So the first several tables are kind of irrelevant. And then this one has the summary data. So 5 years. And then you can get down to individual locations. So this is transition zone. Again, some of these locations aren't going to be ideal. And then let's see, North Central. So kind of Great Lakes-ish. All right, upper mountains. So the middle of the country, usually something like that. This is Utah, so no fertilizer here. So even though it might be the best location for you, you might have to take it with a grain of salt. And then so traffic in Fayetteville. So you got to pay attention to the top traffic. There's going to be lots of traffic data about here. All right. Anyway, there's that. I don't think we have questions. Yeah, that one mower looks interesting. Falkenstein. I think I have seen that before. Yeah. So it's good to know how to do the screen sharing and stuff. I was, let's see, I went over like what this costs. It was 37 times more expensive than what I paid last. Probably 30 times more expensive than normal rate. Yeah, ooh, Nitromax. Yeah, so this stuff, so 28% nitrogen, 1 gallon. So this is about 10. So this is about 3 pounds of nitrogen for 70 bucks. That should cost about $3, and you can add your own water. So when you package and ship water, it's kind of expensive. You know, a gallon of water weighs, by the time you put urea in it, it's about 10 pounds. So yeah, about 2.8 to 3 pounds of nitrogen in this ballpark. It'll tell you the weight on the gallon, but you're paying, 25 bucks or something instead of buck and a quarter for a pound of nitrogen from urea. And then anything else in this, you can see they've got a picture of the lawn looking dead, and then it looks awesome after. Well, yeah, you can do that same thing with lots of products. All right. So, any questions about iron or specific nutrients, something like that? Oh, yeah, still seeing NTEP screen. Yeah, sorry, I just went over. I forget that you guys can't see what I can see. That is an option, or it should be, but I'll have to actually do a platform. I was looking at this product. Is that working? Yeah, okay. This product right here, 28% nitrogen, so 2.8 pounds of nitrogen, something like that, in a gallon of this for 70 bucks. So that's just, $3 worth of urea and $67 worth of water, when a gallon of water out of my tap is about half a cent, and that's kind of expensive. Grass YouTubers. Favorite grass YouTubers? I pretty much only watch turfgrass epistemology. I used to watch the Grass Factor. I don't know if they're doing much nowadays. I think they, Ray passed away recently. he was real knowledgeable on chemicals, and all those guys were fairly knowledgeable on chemicals, so they were pretty, yeah, nice to watch for herbicides. And I don't use fungicides or most things, but it's still good to know that stuff. So yeah, turfgrass epistemology, the live tab there. You can watch his studies, but I don't really watch much YouTube. Um, I mean, not much. If I do, it's not grass stuff. But if I watch any YouTube, you could see I purchased this. I was going to test, but I'm having a hard time like thinking how to test it. But let's do the math on this. I don't know. It's bad. It's going to be expensive. Let's see here. It doesn't say the weight. I've got it in my garage, but it's going to be similar to other stuff. Um, doesn't tell me the NPK on here. Whatever. I could figure it out, but I think it was 60. I think it was about 1 pound of nitrogen or something like that. Just off the top of my head, I think this is about a little more than 60 times what I paid last for urea per pound of nitrogen. Um, but I don't know. I think it's going to be an evidence product. It's got iron in it and it's got nitrogen in it. It should green up the lawn. But you can definitely do that cheaper. So yeah, grass YouTubers. I think George, so Princess Cut, he has some like leveling stuff. I don't level my lawn, but if I did, he seems to know his way around that. And then with products, he doesn't really do any BS with stuff. So he tested like Ron Henry, I think it's Ron Henry, but some like craziest, most expensive fertilizer out there. I think it was $133 per pound of nitrogen. And he tested it against DEF, which is more already double the price of what I would, I got my own water. You have to add water anyway. But yeah, George is good, I think, but I don't normally really watch any YouTube. It's boring. It's just I geeked out on it for a while, and I'm kind of past that. I'll listen to Turfgrass Epistemology podcast, and I'll watch his episodes. I usually do his episodes twice because I'll listen to it on podcast and often watch it on YouTube, but not always. But yeah, that I went through Kentucky bluegrass, and I don't really know anything about Kentucky bluegrass on the. I haven't really done much with that at all at this point. Yep. Wanted to show, this is pretty sweet. I saw this question come up today. If you want to pay just a little extra for it, I don't know where to source this in most areas. These things break, but these are great for hand watering. They give a nice pattern, and then this is more than you can, like I can get this local at like Fred Meyer, but that's probably not countrywide, for like $15 or $12 or something like that. So this is a little overpriced. I first found this at O'Reilly's, but then they stopped carrying it. And then I saw it at Fred Meyer. So if I really had to, I could go to Amazon. But I buy about 2 of these a year, maybe 3 of these a year. So they definitely break. They'll just stop spraying and stuff. But I still buy them because I really like them. There's some like nice brand of watering something or other, and I tried it. I didn't like it. This you can turn it on and off, and I like the pattern of it better. So this is great for hand watering. This is what I used on my back lawn. I didn't even set up sprinklers when I seeded. I just drug around a hose with this thing, walking on it every day. No dead footprints. Just flat-soled shoes. Owning something like this, I highly recommend this if you're rotary mowing. These come in different brands. I'm guessing I actually have the real one, All-American Sharpener, and this looks the same. So this is probably really similar. You might need to buy like an attachment plate or something. If you have a Honda blade, you have to buy a certain plate for one of the blades, like the mulch blade. Yeah, 19.0 sounds right on the. I have it in my garage, but I could look at it. But I think it might be 2 pounds of nitrogen, but I kind of think I thought it was very minimal, but yeah, it could be that. And if it was a 19.0, it'd be 2 pounds of nitrogen. So it might be 30 pounds, $30 per pound of nitrogen. Who knows? But yeah, if you, this is just grinds real fast. I just added random lawn products to my cart. Nice, you can actually see this. I like these things. So this Globe Scientific, these are great for low rate herbicides. And I do find I use them for various things. Every once in a while, I'd be like, what would work for that? And you can, like, I've used this as a funnel in like a little situation, cut the top off, use it as a funnel, or cut the bottom off and use it as a random tube, whatever. Or every once in a while, I'll actually need a pipette of some sort. And these things are long. These are like a foot long, roughly. So 300 millimeters, that's around a foot, just shy of a foot. Um, yeah. And then yeah, this is what I use for acelepryn, or that's what I use for mesotrione if I'm seeding, and I just do herbicides by weight and look up the SDS. All right. But yeah, I like these for hand watering. This is Carrand brand, Carrand. They look like that. There's a part number. And if someone wants to try these, I'll paste this into the chat. This is a non-affiliate link. That's just the straight website. Yeah. Ooh, I have to get to UPS at some point. What time is it? I think I'm good, but yeah. I'll set a timer and actually make sure I get out of here. Oh, whatever. Timer. Probably need to leave in about 25 minutes. Okay. So some other Amazon products I like. Oh, I'll hang out with you guys until I gotta go. See, is this screen still working? Yeah. All right, less errors with what I'm doing. You can use any microgram scale. This is just the one I have. Seems to work well. But this, again, this is good for low rate herbicides. Anything like a pound or less seems to work pretty well. I usually just use solo cups. The little dish that it comes with, it weighs a little bit and it's not as good as like solo cups. And then I can just throw the cup in the garbage and run water in it, things like that if I need to rinse it. So yeah, having a microgram scale is good. pH is overrated, but this is, it's good to test it yourself because it can be a slow play if you actually do want to adjust it to anywhere in between 6 and 7 is totally good. Yeah, so this can be calibrated, and I usually I got a Frappuccino 4-pack, so it comes with a little, carton that you can kind of transfer the calibration fluids around, but you really don't have to calibrate it. I found it holds calibration really well, but I did keep my calibration fluids, and I took the Frappuccinos and cleaned them out. So they're just glass jugs that just happen to be the right size. And then there's like 3 different pH levels, and then I put just distilled water in the 4th one, and then I've got the glass jars marked with the pH inside it. So if you need to replace the tip, I would calibrate it at that point. But other than that, once you calibrate it, it's good. It does well. I have a video on pH, and it uses this exact tool right here. And then as long as you're careful with it, you don't really need the extra tip. So one of these is $37 and it just comes with 1 tip. And then this one's $53 and it does have a second tip. I was testing the pH of boiling water versus not boiling water, and it broke the tip. So I got the more expensive one and it actually worked out for me. But in general, if you're careful with it, but it's like a glass tip and you don't want to dip it in boiling water apparently. But yeah, this thing's good to have, I think. And then kind of a lab style pH test is 50% water, 50% soil by weight. And then just mix it or stir it or shake it, set it aside for 30 minutes, and then do a pH test with this guy here. And the little metal thing, you don't need that. You're not going to be poking this in the ground. That wouldn't be a very scientific style test, but that's kind of how a lab does it, is usually 1-to-1 soil to distilled water by weight, and then wait, get it mixed up, wait 30 minutes, and then test it. And somewhere in the ballpark of 30 to 50 grams of water and soil works well. And you can do 2-to-1 water to soil. I found it didn't make any difference, but most labs do 1-to-1. This is great for seed, and I've heard of people getting deals on these local, but at my site one, they're like more, or not site one. There's a landscaping supply near me, and they're like more than this. But so this price seems to be similar to most places, but I have heard of deals on these. But the gearbox on this is really nice. Holds about 20 pounds of anything solid, and then it holds about 6 pounds of seed. But it kind of works like one of the whirly things, but it just holds more, and it's a little better build quality. I think this will last me a long time. So we'll see. The plastic might eventually rot, like with UV or something like that. But I think that's going to last for probably 10 or 20 years, maybe more. So yeah, I like this thing a lot. I use this in my back lawn for urea. Setting 3, something like that, is in the ballpark. Kind of depend on the prill size for urea. Um, not this, just anything like this, a spin-on thing for a grinding wheel works well with this all American style sharpening jig. So this just holds the blade. The grinder kind of goes in here. So you put this mandrel on your grinder. So these right here, one of these will fit in your grinder, and then the dowel sticks right in here. So that holds this exact grinding angle on your blade. So it just grinds really fast and really accurately. So you don't need to grind multiple times and get your angle exact. And then these flat discs, pretty aggressive is what I would do. So this is a 60 grit with the 5/8 11 arbor, so you can spin this right on, spin it right off. And then this is one it's sold per each, so pretty reasonable price to get that equipped with a all American style sharpening jig. So yeah, that grinds fast. And then I would get a file, round flat file, and just push the burr from the other side. This is the I'll check my soil moisture every once in a while. I'll plug this in the chat. This is a soil sampling probe. All right, our POA annua seed hits is viable right away. I think there's a 10-day seed cycle on POA. So most grass seed, it takes a long time to get viable. I think the seed cycle on POA is about 10 days. So I think they're viable pretty fast. I'm not certain about that, but I think they're viable after just not long at all. Um, yeah, so they drop pretty quick. All right, so yeah, that's a soil sampling deal. And I like this 21-inch. That's the only one I've tried, but it seems to be a real nice length. All right. Hold on. There we go. All right. See that? I think there's only a handful of like lawn products I like, and that's pretty much it. Then urea and water. So yeah, that's the bulk of it. So if there's no more questions, I'll probably shut this off pretty soon here. I do expect to sell out of Platinum Blend, but it'll probably be a little while here. And then I should be good on cheat code, I think. I think I'm good on cheat code, and Sub-Zero should be good as well. I might get a slightly less, move on to a slightly less desirable lot of Mystique. Not much, but it's like 0.01% weed seeds on one of my Mystique lots, and I'll have to get into that at some point. But so far, everything I've shipped this year has been 0.00% weed seed. All right. So how often do you do live? Can you remind us? I'll probably do this more often. I need to get familiar. I need enough questions, is one thing. And unfortunately, I didn't have a clue what I was doing. So I'm sure the retention was a lot worse than it could have been had I known how to do the screen sharing and such.